Have you ever dreamed of visiting a historic site, only to find out it's closed or access is severely restricted? Today, we're exploring why research is critical to your success as a tourist. Interest in visiting historic places is on the rise, but this growing trend presents significant challenges to historians and preservationists. Protecting these sites requires careful planning, and sometimes it means intentionally decreasing profits to maintain the site's historic integrity. One of these sites is Stonehenge, the 5,000-year-old mysterious formation of stones in a circular post and lintel form once welcomed tourists to wander around the monument. In 1977, Stonehenge was roped off. Visitors could only view it from behind a barrier instead of walking among the stones. This hasn't stopped vandalism. There are about 600 images on the Lascaux cave walls and 500 individual engravings in the 16-foot high. Tourist access to the caves was cut off in 1963, a mere 20 years after its discovery, because the crowds were damaging to the site. The visitors were changing the cave's ecosystem not because of behavior or garbage, but having so many people in a small space with very little air circulation. For 2,000 years, the Pluto's Gate Temple in Turkey mystified people with its ability to kill by standing in the mists that arose in its chamber each night. Legend says the mist proved fatal to anyone trying to enter the space. In 1965, scientists measured the carbon monoxide levels in the structure. In the early dawn, the concentration of CO2 is at its highest, becoming dangerously toxic, even deadly. So, no tourists allowed. Notre Dame Cathedral has enthralled visitors since the 12th, 14th century. Visitors could walk its aisles, get up close to the columns, statues, explore the crypts and tombs, and even climb 387 stairs to the top of the cathedral to look at the spectacular Parisian cityscape. In December 2023, the spire was hoisted into place, and its new cockerel of Notre Dame de Paris installed. The cathedral is closed to visitors, but anticipates reopening in December of 2024. On a small island in the Venetian lagoon sits an abandoned, decrepit complex of buildings, long abandoned and left to rot. This island once served as a quarantine district during various phases of Black Plague and its resurgences. For many of the 160,000 infected patients who set foot on its shores, the island their final destination. Today, nobody is allowed to enter Poveglia. It is, according to legend, one of the most haunted places in Europe. Chichen Itza, the center of Mayan power and religion from 600 CE to 1200 CE, was abandoned and left to ruin. Rediscovered in the mid-1800s, it later opened for visitors. As of 2008, tourists have been prohibited from climbing the stairs to the top of the Pyramid of Kukulkan. The Great Wall of China is one of the world's most famous tourist destinations. So many people visit the wall, the popular battling section has had to restrict the visitors' numbers to 65,000 people a day. While other sections of the Great Wall are designed for tourist visits, the Jiangku section is remote and difficult to get there. When adventurers reach the location, they are met by a crumbling, steep, treacherous, and merciless remnant of the Great Wall's Ming-era section. It is out of reach for the casual tourist, recommended only for the most experienced hikers and climbers. When the Statue of Liberty opened to the public, visitors were welcome to climb up a steep ladder inside the arm, only 12 at a time, and step out onto the torch for a magnificent view of New York's skyline. When the Statue of Liberty was hit by some of the Black Tom shrapnel, officials closed the torch off for visitors. There may be concerns about deterioration from visitors making the climb, or its long-term ability to sustain the weight. Near the New York Public Library, on 6th Avenue between 43rd and 44th Street, the New York Hippodrome loomed over the city. The Hippodrome opened in 1905. With 5,200 seats, it was 12 times larger than any other theater in the world. The Hippodrome went from the shining jewel of amusement to a defunct extra-large facility. The Hippodrome was demolished in 1939. The arches of the Pont des Arts Bridge in the heart of Paris have carried couples across the Seine since the early 1800s. Its original design included trees, floral beds, benches, and other park-like amenities. Starting in 2008, visitors engraved their names on a padlock, and affixed it to the bridge. The key gets romantically tossed into the river to prove an unbreakable love. A section of the bridge collapsed under the weight of the extra load in 2015. While visitors are welcome to cross the bridge and take in the views of Paris, they are prohibited from putting locks on the bridge to declare their enduring love. The mountainous historic royal retreat Machu Picchu, laced with tears for farming and its stone Colca and Concha once seemed so remote and mysterious, only 400,000 people made the trek each year. The increase in visitors has resulted in increased litter, erosion of footpaths, and anything within reach. Peruvian government officials took action. They limited access to tourists starting in 2017. One of the sites throttling their visitors is Angkor Wat in Cambodia. This temple complex near Siem Reap, Cambodia, started its life as a 12th century Hindu temple, built to resemble the peaks of Mount Meru. Angkor Wat's picturesque towers and stunning setting have made it an ever-increasingly popular tourist destination. Roughly 4 million people visit the temple each year, and those numbers are expected to grow. To help preserve the integrity of the temple, Angkor Wat officials have increased the cost of tickets. Also, there are limits for visitors to 300 at a time to protect its historic integrity. Cinque Terre, the picturesque chain of 5 Italian villages on the coast of the Gulf of Genova, was being overrun by tourists. Cinque Terre saw roughly 2.5 million tourists per year. The streets are overcrowded, the paths eroding, and to combat the problems caused by being a popular tourist destination, Cinque Terre proposed only allowing 1.5 million visitors each year. Once the threshold is reached, the road would be closed off. Most of these places still exist, but tourism access has been carefully limited. Visitors need to research a site and understand the limits they might face at their intended destinations and the consequences if they decide to test those limits or break the rules.